Walter! Walter, wake up! They're here again! They've returned! Climb up the steps and go find out once and for all what's going on up there. That's what you should do. But why should it matter to you anymore? Other than your sleep, what else can they disturb? Certainly not the dead, although they have tried their very best. Listen to that. Can you hear them clawing through Fred's files? First, the clicks of metal drawer locks, then the rolls of bearings. If only their whispers 3 feet above your head could come through as identifiably as the rest of the rumbling. What's that? Ah, they're fleshy pincers flipping through the folders. Maybe all along he had planned to make it easier for them to cash in on his death without too much inconvenience. At least tonight you can't hear the cringing wheelchair, that intrusive Martha Peer. So she isn't with them. To spare themselves the trouble of carrying her up the steps. She's not heavy, but she must be an awkward bundle.
Walter, where did my grandfather's silver trumpet go? And what of the little silver purse with the blue velvet lining from the Weyerhaeuser estate sale? And what of the silver coins?
Have you ever seen any of that?
No, but Fred told me it was all in the condo. And the silver coins, whatever happened to them?
I have never seen them either.
But you had his house key.
I didn't go through his apartment, Mrs. Pierre.
Yes, but you could have seen it.
You need to ask someone else, Mrs. Pierre. I didn't go through Fred's files or cupboards or cabinets. I didn't look under his bed, under his mattress. With your pristine hands, isolated from the phantom of his presence by gloves from some medical supply company. I wasn't the one who crawled under his rugs, looked in his laundry bags, in his tin cans, his desk drawers, his bank accounts, his bank statements, his union papers, his travel guides. Yes, his travel guides. To places he never went because he didn't want to leave you in the hands of some incompetent county nurses, Mrs. Pierre. Excuse me. It's late, and I'm tired.
Poor Freddie. I'm sure he wanted to leave all that to me.
I'm sure he did. And I hope that you find the trumpet and the silver purse and the coin collection and the stamp collection and everything else that you want. And some legal document that makes it all yours, Mrs. Pierre.
It would make sense, after all. Warped sense, like everything else in his life. She was the last relative with whom he lived before he joined the Navy. She claims she took care of him. That must have been before she started keeping him home from school to run errands for her. That must have been before he and his sister could do no more than play with empty cans and paper dolls on the bare floor of the cellar apartment. Then Martha Pure was still Martha Schultz. When he was older, Fred used to play by climbing the armrest of Martha's wheelchair and hopping to the floor.
Stop doing that, devil child! Stop it, I tell you, you archvicar! God is going to be mad at you!
Well, what's the matter with you? Is God angry with you too?
Oh!
No! Stop! It hurts! Please stop! Ow! Stop! Ow! Stop! Ow! Stop!
Martha and her sisters and that other brother of your mother's, that Emil. They're all put together wrong. Why are they in wheelchairs? Because they were born from animals. Schweinen.
Fred's father used to say when Fred took advantage of the man's intoxicated indiscretion to develop an image of the past in which his own present had been shaped. One night of drunkenness, Fred's father filled in the gaps in his awareness of heritage.
Your grandfather was your grandmother's brother. They made a bunch of loonies. Freaks. Your mommy wasn't as sick as the rest of them. She died on me anyway. Bad ticker.
When Fred's father married a third time, Fred went to live with him in an abandoned farmhouse in Stillwater. Frida, his stepmother, would make him blood sausage and head cheese sandwiches, then sit across the table to watch Fred's face. That wife, also tired of bill collectors who wanted their share of what his father had already liquefied in alcohol. One day, she went away. He dreamt of Martha. Perhaps incomprehensibly, he yearned for her.
I'm drowning! Aunt Martha, help! Please, I'm drowning! Aunt Martha!
Fred would spend the balance of the night searching for a dry spot. Where else could he go? Maybe back to Martha? At least Martha wasn't as bad as Aunt Agnes and her husband Fritz. Fred's sister Joyce had gone to live with Fritz and Agnes. Fritz would not allow children to occupy chairs around a dining table. Fred wouldn't have minded standing to eat. But Fred didn't like what Fritz did when one of his children did something he didn't like.
Who left the storm door open?
The child had to stay outside without a jacket in the cold. And if Agnes dared to let the child in before Fritz allowed, she didn't fare any better. And how about Uncle Emil in St. Louis Park? He had a nice house. Fred and his sister used to visit them on Easter when Fritz and Emil would drive them there.
Joyce, take the ham off his hands.
But Martha, dear, I can't take this child in. I don't have the facilities to keep a child like this. I have enough with mine. Just trying to keep them from bad influences.
And when two other aunts died within a week of each other, and Fred's father could not be found, Fred realized where his future lay.
You have nowhere else to go. You can't leave me here without help after all I've done for you. You've got to see it my way. After all, the streets in winter are much worse.
And with her he remained until a distant niece came to look after her, while Fred served his country.
Don't worry, Fred. We'll take care of her. We'll take care of her all right.
Fred saw his father one more time. It was an autumn night in the old flop house when Fred was on leave from the Navy.
I have a life insurance policy. You're the beneficiary.
No. No, Dad. I don't need it.
I want you to have it.
Leave it to your wife. She's gonna need it to pay for doctor bills.
The widow and her children decided they had suffered enough deprivation. They kept the insurance money and sent Fred the bills for hospital expenses and funeral costs. Fred had been discharged from the Navy for 3 years by the time he was done making payments on them.